Welcome back to Teachers Next Door. In this episode, we are getting into the ultimate debate of teacher survival and drawing some hard lines in the sand. We are discussing the hills we will die on as educators and the ones that we are happy to just walk right past. Let's get into it.
Just thinking about hills, Nicole, I love how you and I are always creating new hills and new projects. Did you know that this is our 10th episode?
10th episode. It's wild. Hard to believe.
I know. We have been recording for I don't know how many weeks now. I think 11 weeks in total. And this is our 10th episode. And so I brought my Diet Pepsi to cheers you.
Well,
You have a Diet Pepsi?
Of course, I don't have a Diet Pepsi, but I do have a Chris Diet Coke beside me, alternately. Did you already crack yours?
Cheers. No.
Let's see if we can get that nice click. Oh, there we go. There's that beauty
Mine's
sound.
fun.
People might not know if this is actually pop or not, but it is.
Oh,
Cheers to you. I know 10, it's wild. Like when we started this venture, we were like, let's get to 10 and then make a plan. And we're here and we're just getting started. It's addicting.
you just to see me on this screen, I swear.
That is true.
Hi.
Normally we're first thing in the morning, but episode 10, I don't know, maybe we're just like, we had probably an hour to get ready for today because we were just catching up on life prior to this. But doing it at night seems different.
I know, it seems different. So we can have our diet pops in celebration. We wouldn't be doing that at 5 a.m. probably.
No, however, there are some teachers that I've seen full on crack their DCs at school first thing in the morning. So I don't know about you, but it's a thing. Not for me because I'm a coffee girl, but it's a thing for some people.
Yeah, definitely evening pop for me. You'll love this. I was talking to my boys the other night and I was telling them that we were preparing to record our 10th episode. And I said to them that statistically, most podcasts don't go past 10 episodes. And Derek was like, great, we're done then. It was so funny. I was like, oh no, honey, we're just getting started.
We are just getting started. I have to share tonight, though, that my legs, Michelle, are like on fire. I was in the most exciting community building event, to be honest, that I've been in a long time in a school. On Monday, we had a staff versus student hockey game. And I did grow up playing hockey, but I have not played hockey for a good 5 years, a good solid 5 years. And when I skate, it's leisurely pond skates, right, in the winter. I'm talking a full hockey game. And when you get, Mrs. Hoy on that ice, I take no prisoners. Like I'm like full out going the fast as I can. I did, however, take out a few children, not because I meant to, because I was not the best on my edges type thing. But it was funny because at school today, one of the grade 6 students was against the grade 6 class of kids who wanted to sign up. And one of the boys says to me, Mrs. Hoy, you're sure a fast skater. And I was like, oh, thanks, buddy. And he's like, but you're not a great shot. I'm like, oh my goodness, like kids are so honest. But this was a wild experience for me. I've never been part of this before, but obviously being new to the school. So the whole school goes to watch this hockey game. The whole school walks over. So there is at least 600 kids in the audience watching, plus parents, plus grandparents, other teachers. It's wild. There's signs, there's cheering. They had a live announcer the whole time. It was so much fun. But I thought we were playing 3 10-minute periods. And we played a 10-minute period that turned into a 15-minute period. And then all of a sudden they put 20 minutes up on the clock. I'm like, what? We're playing a full hockey game? And we only had 8 staff skaters. And I was exhausted. But it was so fun. It filled my heart. The kids loved it. And I will do it again next year, but I can barely walk today. And it's been 2 days.
I just admire you so much because when you sent me those photos, I'm fully aware of everything else you have going on this week at school and at home. And then the fact that you joined in on that hockey game as part of a new staff, I just thought kudos to you. Of course you did. And knowing you, Nicole, you didn't go out there and just give it 10%. You gave it 110%. Therefore, the sore legs, right?
This is true.
Our kids also have an annual hockey game at their school, and I've never taken up the opportunity to go and watch, but I know it's a complete vibe. In the past, they've had one period of ringette and then the other period of hockey. And also, what they do is they will highlight the figure skaters who skate. And so at the intermissions, they will have skaters go out and do their solo or show their skills. And this year, I understand that one of the moms, who is the most incredible figure skater, went out and did her solo too. And I heard it was just electric in there when they were cheering them on. So I think that's a great tradition at your school. The other night, I went out and played volleyball against my daughter's team. And I went out, Nicole, as if I had played competitive volleyball in the last 10 years. And I went out to play. And every time I could get subbed off, I would, because I went and thought that I would be just fine. And it was a reality check for me. So good for you for giving 100%.
It was really fun. It was such a cool way to build community and look forward to it next year. So on today's show, we're
Yes.
going to talk about the hills we will die on as teachers and maybe perhaps the ones that we're willing to walk by. So what are some of the things that you as a teacher absolutely know, I'm going to die on this. No way we're getting around it.
The number one that I picked, and I'm thinking people probably won't be surprised to hear this, but the hill that I will die on the most is about relationships and rapport. I think relationships and rapport will always matter the most. You can have the best plan and the best program and the best choreographed lesson, but if the students aren't connected to you, the lesson isn't going to land and certainly isn't going to stick. I think the number one hill I will die on is relationships with kids.
I like how you said that with the two R's. And I can also think of it as like relationships over rigor. That's always what I've followed as well. Even today at school, there was a little guy having some troubles, and I just knew in my head this was not gonna fly. And so took him one-on-one. I have a little tiny, like almost like travel size Lego kit that I just carry in my like basket, my Mary Poppins bag when I go to different classrooms. And all it took was 2 minutes of getting him regulated with that Lego set. And then we were able to read. And I love that you said that. So relationships for sure are key. I would say that one of my hills that I will die on is not as deep as that one, even though I will also die on that hill too. But mine's going very different than yours. And it is that the day after Halloween should be a mandatory holiday. That I know I went hard left there. A day after Halloween, why do we send kids to school? Actually, more importantly, why are we sending the adults to school to deal with the sugar-ridden children? That's just the hill that I think, well, come on, can we not just cancel school after Halloween?
It is, yeah. It's so I can wear my Beetlejuice shirt, Nicole, I think. I don't know, get one last wear out of it. I love it. Don't we all celebrate when we see the school calendar? And if Halloween lands on a Friday or a Saturday, or there happens to be a PD day after that, you can hear everybody cheering. Okay, I'm going to go hard right again. I picked this. I said that learning and showing learning can look different for different kids. I just had a huge conversation with our youth development counselor about this. She's very passionate about this too, and I know you are as well, that if students are learning differently or showing their learning differently, it doesn't mean that it's unfair. It's what that child needs. It's equity for that child. And so I know that is so difficult to differentiate learning and assessment. On the other hand, we need to meet kids where they're at and give them an opportunity to show us what they know. So it's tricky, right? We know this because we don't necessarily have the funding. We don't necessarily have the people. And this could be a whole entire podcast series, but I do believe that kids need to have an opportunity to learn in the way that they need and also to be able to show us what they know.
Feel like maybe did you steal my notes? That is literally my next one. Is that learning will look different?
No.
It says learning will look different for all children, and that it's not being unfair, it's being equitable. That is exactly what I wrote.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not. I'll fax them over your way. Or actually, who faxes things anymore? I'll screenshot it and send it to you through text.
That is incredible. You were giving me a look and I thought, why is she looking at me like that? That is incredible. Number two.
The thing is, kids get it. Kids get it, right? Like it's not going to work for one is not going to work for the next sometimes. Sometimes it does, right? Sometimes you're able to have things that work for lots of kids or sometimes even your whole class, depending on what you're doing. But I think it's like once students know that everybody gets what they need, including themselves, then they can see that when they're asked to do a different task or when someone else they think is not doing the same thing as them. Kids can see that and notice that right away, but they also know that that's going to come around to them as well. Because if you set your classroom up for that, then everyone knows they have a chance to share their learning in different ways.
And I think that when guided and coached and encouraged well, students can really start to understand what it's like to be in other kids' shoes. And for example, today I was listening to a student read, and the kids know that if my little light is on, to not come, and to know that if it was their turn to be with me, that they want that time to be respected because they cherish that one-on-one time with us teachers. And so I think when they're encouraged and it's modeled, they can start to get an understanding of what it's like to need those extra supports or just to need that one-on-one time with a teacher.
For sure. My next one that Hills I Will Die on is just the idea of smaller class sizes aren't a luxury, they're a necessity. You know, we've
100%.
all taught in different size classrooms, but I know that I have been most successful as a teacher and the students have been most successful when there is smaller class sizes. You can get to more students, you can differentiate better, you have more to give, more to spread around, more face to face with kids. So that idea that small class sizes, they're not a luxury, they are a necessity in our schools. And unfortunately, right now, we know the complexities of that, and that's not happening.
Yes. Yeah. I can't even, I'm saying 100%. I want to say 1 billion%. It's not on my list, but I believe it's not on my list on paper. It's on the list in my head. I remember years and years ago, I was in maybe my first or second year of teaching, and I went to the National Learning Disabilities Conference, and we were talking about the top 10 things that help students learn, and that was the number one. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to work in an environment that supports smaller class sizes, not small class sizes, but I would say smaller than typical. Yeah. Is that another episode right there, Nicole?
Pretty much, I feel.
Perfect. We'll have the next few episodes planned out. Okay. So my next one is about play, and play being important all of the time. But my goodness, right now, when this hits the air, we'll be in the middle of May or near the end of May. And for sure at our school, spring fever, summer holidays are consuming student minds, but play is important all of the time. And I feel like play is learning. Play is a time to have choice. They can build their curiosity and build their creativity, their thinking, their critical thinking, how to be a great partner, how to cooperate, take turns, share, listen to their friends, hear other people's perspectives, problem solve. I could go on and on.
I love that idea of play. And I also believe that recess and outdoor time should be a non-negotiable, right? Recess to me is a non-negotiable, is that kids need to get outside. They need to be able to get their energy out and interact with their peers in different ways. Of course, I'm not talking about kids who have had consequences for more severe things, but I just know that no matter how far behind a child is or, what has occurred throughout the day, like I said, unless it's some kind of large, scale item, that everyone needs those unstructured minutes to be with their peers.
I agree. And underneath play, the next thing I wrote was outside. Being outside is absolutely a necessary part of the kids' day. And I agree that kids need to go out and move their bodies and breathe deep breaths in that fresh air and connect with friends and just socialize, right? And so, yeah, I think that's so imperative.
Some fun ones here is I'll wait is a complete sentence. Because I cannot ask them 128 times to do the same thing anymore. So an I'll wait, that is a complete sentence in my books.
Oh, you will love this. So yesterday they have a little reading, writing, spelling portion of their day. And I usually give them a sentence to write down. And one of the students said, Mrs. DeLoe, you always say that. And I know it. I'll wait always comes out of my mouth. And so I dictated the sentence and it just was Mrs. DeLoe always says, and then they had to complete the sentence. We usually do that in June, but yesterday the timing was perfect. And the things that they wrote, I could have predicted most of the things they said, but lots of them said, I'll wait.
Okay, Michelle, what is another hill that you will die on as a teacher?
I will absolutely die on the hill of sticking to stronger boundaries. It has taken me years, way too many years. It's like I took the long and slow road to get here, and I am still learning. I think that's the job of every teacher for eternity to remember that you can care deeply about your students and still work really hard to protect your time and energy. How about you? Are you dying on that hill too?
100% am. And I wish I did it 22 years ago.
Mhm.
It's the one thing I tell all new teachers. If I mentor teachers or if there's new teachers in my school, I 100% will always say to them, this is your job and you can love it, but yourself, your friends, and your family, that is your life. Is that I just know that I have fallen to that old age, working too much as a teacher. And I've missed out on a lot of my own kids, my own family's events where I technically looking back could have done it. I could have gone, I could have taken the day, I could have asked for the time off. I could have maybe not done as much of the extracurricular after school. I don't like to think of a person that has regrets, but there's the one thing about education is I do know I regret missing some of my own kids' stuff just due to work, just due to the things
Mhm.
we do. But I definitely am putting better boundaries in place now. It's honestly been refreshing in a way to me right now because I just moved, obviously, school districts at a brand new school. So it's easier for me now, knowing what I know, to put those boundaries in place and leave at a certain time. And back to last week's episode, or 2 weeks ago, I guess, about our efficiency. One of the things is I'm only staying late one day a week. And I set that in action and sticking to that when I'm really proud of myself for that.
Good for you. That's incredible. How about you? What's next on your list?
This is a big one for me because I've been down this road. Wrote a children's book about it. Teacher burnout is not a teacher problem. It is a system problem. We're not set up to be supported like we perhaps have been in the past. I just know that it is really difficult and tricky to be all things at all times to all people, and you can't be. You can't. And it's what causes us to do too much and to put too much time in is by not being able to see to the other side. And you get stuck in the muck and you're trying to be everything to everybody and do all the things and you just can't. There's no real easy way or solution to tell you today this will cure teacher burnout because it is a system problem. We need more supports in place. Taking a step back to me is showing courage and giving your other colleagues, I think, a good role model. You're walking the path ahead of them. If you can take a step back and take some things off your plate, I think it shows others that it's okay to do the same. No, though, if teachers are at that point where they're getting to the point where they have to take an even larger step back, maybe out of the classroom for a while, then that's what you have to do, right? Teaching at the detriment of your own self and family is not worth it.
It makes me think sometimes when I know I am going above and beyond what I need to be doing, my former admin partner and dear mentor of mine would say to me, Michelle, sometimes good is good enough. Let's put this to rest because we all know the job never ends. And sometimes good is good enough. You need to stop at some point in time, although it's really easy to feel that you can't, that there's always more to do or you need to put more love into something or think about something from a different perspective. I think what you've said is so true, Nicole. My next item goes along with this that I guess a hill I will die on or won't die on. I'm not sure how to say this, but what I will say is I don't have a picture perfect classroom, and I never have, and I never will. I think as I get older, I need more simplicity in my life. I need more calm. I need less stuff. And I also believe that a classroom that is calm and cozy, comfortable, but clean too is conducive to learning. And so my class is not perfection. If I have an extra 15 minutes in a day, I'm not going to spend it on what my classroom looks like. I will spend it on what it feels like or pour into a lesson plan that is a little more engaging for the next day for those 15 minutes, or read something professionally to help me with my teaching. I've never had a picture perfect classroom, but it is calm and it feels safe and it's comfortable.
I know for me, I need organization and systems in place. So it doesn't have to be, like you said, a Pinterest curated classroom, but I do have to have systems in place because that ultimately will help me. Because clutter for me clutters my brain, it clutters my mind. I know also for students, when they don't know where supplies are or they don't know where to access things, it can be frustrating to them. One thing that I know I always do and will continue to always do is be very organized from the start, have those systems in place for kids that will ultimately help us in the end. Like I said, they don't have to look pretty. Some systems I have do not look pretty. Mismatched bins or different things on the walls, but they work and the kids know that they work. So connected to that, as long as there's something in place and it follows a plan that everybody can adhere to, then I'm good to go.
Beautiful. We were working on something today and I switched the routine just for fun, right? I was like, let's do it this way today. And then I was like, and then tomorrow we'll go back to the same way we did it all year because we're in May and June and we need to stick to those routines that work.
Then I have two funny ones here. Okay. The full moon is a scientifically proven behavioral disruption. I don't care what anyone says. If there's a full moon and the kids are misbehaving, I'm basically going to let it happen. I'm not saying I'm going to let them be climbing on the ceiling tiles, but there's just something about a full moon teaching day that things are going to go sideways, and I kind of just let it unfold. I still keep my expectations in place, but I also know that those are days I just can't get back sometimes, and that's just the way it is.
They are scientifically proven. And I remember sharing with my mom a full moon story. I can't remember what happened, but I said, Mom, you will not believe this, and shared the story. And my mom, as a nurse, worked in seniors' homes and in home care and supported living. And she just looked at me and she said, Did I not ever talk to you about that? She always worked the evening shift or through the night. And the things that she told me that would happen, Nicole, with these seniors were crazy. And I just thought it only happened in schools, but it doesn't. It happens in other places too.
My last one, I have probably 50 more, but the last hill I'm willing to die on, and then I'm going to tell you a couple after about the ones I'm willing to walk past, but is that saying, we've always done that here. That doesn't always work. We've always done that here when you go to a new school, or even if you've been at a current school for a long time, and you might even catch yourself saying that, but we've always done it this way. That is one of those things now that I've been in education for a while. Actually don't care. If I think it needs to be done a different way, I'm going to do it. I'm going to die on that hill. I'm not going to do something from 28 years ago if it's not working for kids. I'm just not going to anymore. I would have in the beginning of my teaching career, for sure. But now I'm not. Now I can question things in a respectful, professional way. And I can adapt and I can let certain things go. But when it's what's best for kids, and if it's not what's best for kids, I will question things and I will change it.
I feel like that's a future t-shirt. Actually, don't care. Teacher Flair.
Teacher Flair, don't care. Maybe that was a rude way of saying it, but you know what I'm saying though, right? If it's not working, why are we still using it?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. And just because it's always the way we've done it, it doesn't make it still right or okay. It may have been right in the past, but it doesn't mean it's still working today. I love that. And the way you phrased that just made my whole day. Okay, this is my last one, and then let's move on to some of the things that we're going to walk past or let go of. So we know that teaching is so much more than teaching the core subjects, that we spend a lot of our day teaching kids to be prepared for the future, teaching them about social, emotional learning, character education, health, and wellness is where I spend most of my time. I feel like we're spending a lot of time learning about manners, how to behave in the world, etiquette, all of those things. And I think those are just as or more important than some of the subjects we need to be teaching.
Yeah, I love that. I had a conversation just today with a teacher about that, about how we have to navigate two worlds really in schools. We're navigating written curriculum and then we're navigating unwritten curriculum. And that really is the reality of our days.
That hidden curriculum is, I feel, next level, as my colleague would say.
Yes.
Okay, tell me some of the things you're going to let go of or already have or you're walking past. What are some on
I
your
want to
list?
run through a couple of them here. I really could care less if a child wears a jacket at recess. Or yeah, I just don't care. Oh my gosh, this is the I don't care day. I don't know what I do care. Actually, I deeply care for children and education. But I really don't. If it's snowing outside, if it's raining and they choose to not take a jacket outside, then that's actually a natural consequence. And they are not allowed to go back inside. So I always do heavily recommend to take it out with them. But if they don't, but they're not coming back in to get it, that's just kind of how it is because it does eliminate the idea of, do I have to wear a coat? Do I have to wear a coat? We hear that all the time as teachers. And I say, you don't have to, but I would suggest that you do, or I would at least suggest you take it outside with you. So that is one of the things that I can walk by because it's just one of those things. And it also goes along with shoes in the classroom. Do I think kids should wear shoes in the classroom? Yes. But am I going to ask them all day long to wear shoes in the classroom? No, I'm not. It's also a natural consequence if there's a fire drill and they have to go outside in their sock feet, right? That's just one of those things. I'm trying to eliminate the amount of times I have to nag children or the amount of times they have to ask me, can I do this? I just say, that's a choice you have to make. And sometimes by putting it back on them, that's a choice you have to make. That's what I say often to them. Then they usually make the right choice.
It's so true. They wrote this actually when I said, Mrs. DeLow always says, and it says, it's your decision. It's your decision. Try it this way, try it this way. Today we had a practice fire drill and somebody said, what if I don't have my shoes on? And I said, then you won't have shoes on. You'll
Yeah.
be outside without shoes on. And some of the kids looked at me in horror. And I was like, you just won't have shoes on. Well, what if it rains? I said, then we'll get wet. What if we're out and it's raining and we don't have shoes on? Your feet might get wet, but you'll be okay. We always say you're not made of sugar. I'm sure our parents said that to us too.
So true. I also don't mind if students eat in my classroom. I'm not talking about like during carpet time that we're all sitting there quietly or, we're having a circle moment together and then someone wants to go grab a bag of Doritos. That's not what I'm saying. But if we're working at their desk and it's within that snack time and they want to grab an apple, a banana, something like that's okay with me. Because what I find is when I say that, most kids won't do that. Most kids will wait till their natural snack time in elementary school at least, but some kids won't, and that's okay. Right now, I'm working with a lot of grade 5, 6 students. They do like to eat more often kind of when they want to, which I'm totally fine with. And that doesn't bother me as long as it's not bothering others around them.
I'm the same. If you're hungry, go get some food. If you need to start your snack, if you're not feeling well, get a drink of water, go use the bathroom, maybe have a bite to eat. Or I have a couple little guys in the afternoon. They have an afternoon snack and they just go and get it. And they're so good at just being quiet about it and having their snack and fueling their bodies. I'm the same way. I am not dying on that hill.
Yeah. I guess I have many more, but the last one I'm going to share is that perfect straight hallway line. As long as they're being respectful in the hallways and quiet, especially when you walk by others' classrooms, I don't need a perfectly straight line. However, I haven't been at a school before that has on the floor all the different things that students can hop on, jump on, sometimes roll on, different activities they can do as they're going down the hallway. That's new to me. I know it's been around for a long time. I've just never ever had it in a school I've been at. So to be in this new environment for the last 4 weeks now, you really rarely see students walking down the hallway in a straight line because they're getting a brain break or a movement break as they go down the hallways. So I think kids are very respectful about doing it because they know parameters have been put in place. It has a purpose. They know it's to get their body moving and to get some of their energy going. So it's been cool to see that, but I've never really needed an absolute straight line. I've liked a quiet, respectful line for sure, but I'm not gonna worry about that.
I am the same. So if my line is not perfectly straight, I am okay with that. But I do expect my kids to be walking respectfully and quietly in the hallway. We have other classes learning close by. We have people listening to students read or working on something in the hallway. Other classes are transitioning. It's a busy place. It's a small building. So you're always passing other people in the hallway. And so definitely doesn't have to be straight, but does it have to be respectful? For sure. We do have some little signs and things now in the hallway, not on the floor necessarily, but things that they can touch in the hallway or push, different actions. So they might push it and then have a little action that goes along with that. And some kids do that faithfully every time they go by it on the way to a specialist class and on the way back. And other kids, I think, don't even know they're there. Some kids use them and need them, and some can't be bothered. But it is good to see them get their bodies moving when they can too.
I want to just end with something that really stuck with me this week. And this comes from Lori McIntosh. If you don't follow her on Instagram at Mrs. Max Kinders, I actually have it as my screenshot right now. And it was in one of her stories, I believe, but it's also on her main grid now. But it says this: imagine your success as a teacher was solely measured by how safe and authentic people felt in your presence. And that's how I want my classroom to feel. That's how I want the students I work with to feel, how the families I want to feel, how I want my colleagues to feel around me. So I'm just going to read that one more time. Imagine your success as a teacher was solely measured by how safe and authentic people felt in your presence.
I love that quote. And I remember seeing that and it resonated with me completely. And I'm glad that you've brought that up to close our episode. It reminds me of our episode that we aired last week about thanking a teacher and about how it goes back to thinking about those teachers we've experienced and how they made us feel and how we try to make our students feel. I think that's so beautiful, Nicole.
Thank you for joining us today. And we can't wait to hear about the things in your classrooms that absolutely is a must for you or things you can just let go and walk on by. Wait, is that the bell? The buses are rolling and we've got duty.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Teachers Next Door podcast. If you enjoyed this week's PD session, do us a solid. Leave a rating, 5 stars preferably, and a review. Think of it as giving us an A+ on our eval. It helps other listeners find their way to our neighborhood. As the kids say, please subscribe.
Do you have a burning question or topic you would like to hear about? Send us an email or message. Be sure to follow us on Instagram for show updates and details on future episodes.
This podcast was produced and edited by us, your teachers next door. No outsourcing here. The reality of all teachers. We do it all.
If nobody else has told you today, just remember, you are doing a great job. Catch you next time.
And we should mention, the ideas we share on this podcast are totally our own.